today, man, your Cincinnati Bengals, sorry to say it, have missed out on the 2025 playoffs because the Denver Broncos have beat the Kansas City Chiefs to get that final spot in the AFC wild card. How you feeling about this, my boy?
I mean, too little, too late. I mean, I know we had to win 5 straight games to even be in this position, and I was very much so aware of that. 5, 6 weeks ago, I was as long as we were on the graphic when they showed the playoff standings and we were the last team in that wild card picture, I kept some hope alive. But
Yeah.
realistically, we knew what it was. We
Mhm.
did everything we could. Defense started to look a little better. That was something to build upon for next year. Obviously, we got the T. Higgins contract situation,
Mhm.
but that's looking a little more promising at this point. But draft wise, that's where we're at this point. Linebacker, secondary, whatever it may be. But at least we were able to close the season strongly with a positive note. But we're gonna have to figure that out. That starting off with 1-4, 2-3, whatever it may be, every single year thing. It
Yeah,
obviously came
not a
back to
good
bite
move.
us in the end here, and we
Mhm.
did everything we can to think that we were only one game short of making it in, and that's Chiefs ducking us there with the bench players. But don't
Yeah.
blame them; they earned that right, so it is what it is.
Yeah, today when I was making my picks, I'm like, damn, man, I really want the Broncos to lose so you can get the Bengals in there, for you. And then on the top of that, just because you guys are the best offense in the league, it's like
Yeah,
very exciting to see you guys play when Joe Burrow's out there, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, T. Higgins. Like it's very exciting to see you guys play. But when I was doing my picks, I'm like, there's no way the Broncos lose to a backup team, and they're trying to get into the playoffs when they have a top five defense in the last 6 weeks, and Bo Nix is playing like an All Pro. It's
yeah.
it's too hard for me to pick the Chiefs to win.
No, I don't blame you. And there was no one who should have picked them. I know, realistically, Denver. I mean, the Raiders have shown moments, but Denver's that team that kind of give the Chiefs problems anyway, even when they do play their starters.
Yeah.
So they knew what they had to do. They took care of business, and like I said, they earned the right. Chiefs took their time off. I would as well. There's no point in playing Mahomes or any of those guys when you're trying
Mhm.
to get prepped. That's kind of the point. Unless you're one of those people who believes, I don't know how you stand on it, where you don't want too much time off. You're gonna get this week, and you're gonna get a bye week. It's 2 weeks off, 3 weeks into the next game. Is that too much time off? I don't know how you are. What's your approach on something like that?
It all depends on the situation, right? So, like a little bit later, we're gonna bring that up too because the all of the first round buys for the college football playoffs, they all lost. So that could be a
Yeah,
little bit that comes into that. But in this situation with Mahomes, he has a messed up ankle, so for him to get 2 weeks off to rest that, he's gonna be watching film. He's gonna still be throwing the rock
yeah,
either in his house or outside in the backyard or at the practice facility with his teammates. He's still gonna be doing that, but he's not gonna be mobile. He's not gonna be on his feet so much so he could rest that ankle. And in that case, I do agree with that. That yeah, you should sit him for 2 weeks, and especially if you have the bye coming up.
yeah. And when you get that kind of leadership, both from him and Andy Reid, you don't really have to worry about him
Mhm.
coming in sluggish or not be
Exactly.
prepared or they already know what they do. They're very well at it. They've been doing it for years, obviously, going for the three-peat. But you know, sucks to miss out.
Mhm.
But here we are outside in both our teams.
Yeah, yeah. No, man. The Cowboys, man, they just this whole season has just been a clusterfuck. And dude, I'm ready. I'm ready for the offseason when it comes to the NFL. Ready, ready.
Yeah.
But for you guys, man, Jamar Chase finishes first in the league for most receptions, most receiving yards, and most receiving TDs. So I'm pretty sure we can both say he deserves that contract 100%.
Oh, Jamar,
Uh,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah. Joe Burrow finishes first in the league in passing yards and passing TDs. And then this ultimately comes down to what you guys want to do with T. Higgins. Do you want to keep him or do you want to let him go?
I want to keep him. I think Yoshivas and some of these other guys, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Burton. He's got some off-field issues, and he has for most of the season. Not to say he's just troublesome all around, but he's never really found his place yet. A little maturing, needs to go down there. But when Higgins plays, I think we're consistently spread out. Now you look at, we obviously had these O-line problems for years, and even though we have people say, they're not doing anything to fix that, we brought in Orlando Brown, right, from the Chiefs, which was a huge pickup. He was a little banged up this year, but even aside from something like that, we had draft picks, top 10 draft picks for years there. And almost all of them went to offensive linemen until, the Jamar Chase situation. But I think with the 5 receiver spreads they like to do with Joe Burrow, where you're not necessarily leaning on extra people in the box for you. You need all the weapons you can get. And I think we don't have enough depth there with guys like Boyd gone and stuff like that to fill in the two role without T Higgins. And I just think you got to keep him. I know it's unfortunate because you got to pay Jamar Chase probably even next year, if not, if you're lucky enough to wait till the next season. Um, Coming off a season like he just did, it's probably going to have to happen this year because he's going to make sure he gets his. But I'll keep him. I know the defense is, very thin, and you got to think about that. And Mike Brown does not pay people. When Bengals have never been a team, like I said, we're the only team with an outdoor practice facility that's in the north. Uh, but that's going to change. We finally just got our stadium name rights and stuff like that. So financially, we're doing things a little better. We'll see if that helps at all. But realistically, I would love to keep him because I just think the offense and the team as a whole click way better. Obviously, more talent's always going to help, but
Mhm.
the trade-off between signing Higgins, signing Chase, and then losing out on more defensive players as we have each year now. It is tough, but I would just say keep Higgins and go all in on your draft defensively and just see what you can get. Take that chance.
Yeah, definitely. I think you guys should keep Higgins. I mean, it's got to be a situation on both sides to help each other out because obviously you have to pay Jamar Chase. I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's a
yeah,
no-brainer now. Yeah, last year they wanted to franchise tag him and all this stuff if he was going to prove himself, and he did. He finishes top three in the top three categories for a receiver that is very important. So you got to pay Chase, right?
for
With
sure.
Higgins, I feel like the reason why Chase is so great. I mean, not a huge reason, but part of the reason why Jamar Chase is so great with the Cincinnati Bengals is because that T Higgins spreads out the field.
Yeah,
If you're able to have a wide receiver two like T Higgins that can catch 6 to 7 passes a game and get you a touchdown, and even last week he had 3 TDs. He was showing out. If you're able to keep those two together with a great running back in Chase Brown, an amazing quarterback in Joe Burrow, and they're even their tight end position is pretty solidified right now. If you keep all of that together, your offense is going to be one of the greatest offenses in maybe even NFL history, but for sure in the next 2 to 5 years.
for
So
sure.
if you let T Higgins go, now all the pressure is going to be on Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. Now you're going to have to find another wide receiver too, either in the draft or in the free agency, and then get this chemistry going again with Joe Burrow and all that. And it's like, why? Just work on what you need to work on. And it's not only the Cincinnati Bengals, it's any NFL team. Work on what you need to work on for your personnel and don't worry about what is already good. What's broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like just keep
Yeah.
it well-oiled machine together. Don't let it go to waste.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I know we've lost some guys on defense to, whether it's Tennessee, Atlanta, whoever over the past few years, guys like Jesse Bates and stuff. But realistically, Hendrickson leads the lead in sacks. Another great thing going for us on defense. I still like Hubbard. I don't, Mike Hilton's getting a little old. We don't know what his situation will be. He's kind of getting those short-term contracts. And
Yeah.
I don't really know about the secondary. We have a couple guys there that are hit and miss. But, I don't think on paper the defense is as bad as it's played. It started to kind of level out towards the second half of the year. I mean, obviously, like I said, too little, too late. But I don't know. I agree with you. I think if you get one of these teams that just has so many needs, then you can't afford to pay a guy like T. Higgins when you already got a guy like Chase. But I don't think we're that far gone as
No,
bad
I
as
don't
we've
think
been
so
on
either.
defense. Like I think a good draft this year and maybe one free agent signing could be enough to put us in a position because we're already in a position to be dangerous in the playoffs with that offense.
Yeah. And with that being said, what improvements other than personnel, or you could mention what positions you want to improve in the off season for you guys? What improvements do you need that you as a fan like, yo, I want to see this
Sure.
happen?
Sure. Definitely linebacker. With these two high safety situations in football going on, everybody's doing it's kind of becoming tough for these linebackers to make tackles against wide receivers who are getting into those intermediate passes and stuff like that. And we are just terrible at it. I think our zone defense is probably the worst defense in the league. I don't have the numbers to back that right this second, but I just watching it and watching all these teams play each week, it's horrendous. The tackling is poor. And obviously, you can, account for coaching for a lot of that. But I'm not out on Zach Taylor. I think he's an okay coach. I don't think he's overly creative offensive wise. Although I will say we've kind of been throwing in this kind of like a wheel route pass to the running back, but it's not fully out to the outside. It's more on the
Yeah.
inside hash play that I really like that I haven't seen a lot of teams using. But again, that just came in the past few weeks. So offensively, we don't even have a problem. I wouldn't, as we know. But defensively, Lou Anarumo or whatever, they give him a lot of praise as a coordinator, and you hear Collinsworth and all these guys, they hyped him up a lot for his defensive mind. I just don't know. I feel like we don't have the personnel to play the way he wants to play. However, I don't put that on him either because I know we don't really have that kind of roster. So I would definitely say linebacker, the secondary needs to be attacked. We've lost all our veterans in the secondary. We went all our young guys, and they're not really panning out. Like Cam Taylor Britt, sometimes, like he looks the part, but he got a lot of late dumb penalties, and some of them are ticky tack, but they're there. It is what it is. So I for sure linebacker and secondary, and obviously the offensive line, but it's a problem. You want to keep Burrow healthy, but we've been able to overcome that. So I'm going to focus more on linebacker and safety and corner.
Yeah, I would say secondary for sure. I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
teams
we're a
out there
joke.
when like it's just like us. It's just like the Cowboys. Every team that plays your team or my team, they love to pass the ball. They love to go
Oh,
deep. They love to have at least like 35 pass attempts in the game and probably even complete 70% of those pass attempts. So it's like
yeah,
both our teams need to work on the secondary. I do agree with you there, and I think the linebacker position for you guys, yeah, it could need a little tune up. I'm not gonna say like you need that
yeah.
first and
Sam
foremost,
Hubbard's all right, but overall,
you know?
yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I
crazy,
think it's
dude.
just a
It's
little
crazy.
tough.
We scored like 35 points, 40 points, 35 points. We lost all those games. So, something's got to give.
That's how you know it's defense. It's just for a regular fan out there. If you see teams that are putting up
Yeah,
40 points, that means the offense is great. But if they're giving up 40 points, that means the defense is horrible. So it's like
exactly.
you gotta
Trey
give, you
Young
gotta give.
problem.
Yeah, literally. But dude, no, I think there's a lot of upside for you guys. I mean, yeah, you guys started off slow, 1-4, 1-5, whatever it was. Towards the second half of the season, you guys ramped it up. You made some adjustments, and you got Burrow to play at an MVP type caliber player. Because if you guys were probably 10-6 or 11-5, I think he probably wins that. And but
Yeah,
there's a lot of upside for you guys going into the off season. I think number one thing for sure would to try to pair Jamar Chase with T Higgins again. Joe Burrow loves him out there. Another thing, obviously, to work on that secondary, and then to try to get some good draft picks for some backups because you never know when it comes to injury, for sure.
for sure.